I mean, you probably knew this was coming, right? I mean, we already did a video on the channel discussing John Cena's rise from the prototype to the Doctor of Thugonomics to his first ever World Championship win at WrestleMania 21. But at WrestleMania 21, even though Cena was being built up as the rising star of SmackDown, on the other side you had the winner of the 2005 Royal Rumble, a former member of Evolution and a former Leviathan in Dave Batista, who was following that same path. And this is Becoming the Animal, Dave Batista's rise from 2003 through 2005. Well, we kick off the video with 2003, and when it comes to Batista's 2003 run, he was sidelined for much of the year due to a triceps injury which he sustained in a tag team match with Randy Orton at a live event. However, Batista would make his WWE return on a October 20th, 2003 episode of Monday Night Raw in a main event match between the then World Heavyweight Champion Bill Goldberg and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Batista would come out and target the World Heavyweight Champion, delivering a Batista bomb and then putting his foot in between a steel chair, going up to the middle rope and shattering the ankle of the champion. The screams of agony from Goldberg would echo throughout the arena, but it would also signal the arrival of the Animal, Batista, in the WWE. Following the heinous attack by the Animal, and Batista and Goldberg would have a match on the November 10th, 2003 episode of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, Batista would go after the shattered right ankle and try to target it, but the World Heavyweight Champion was smart to it, eventually landing an elevated power slam, followed by a spear to the Animal. Before he was able to elevate Batista for the jackhammer, though, the game Triple H would come out and attack Goldberg, trying to land a sledgehammer shot to the shattered ankle of Goldberg in between a steel chair, but Goldberg would low blow Triple H, go to the corner and land a spear of his own to continue the feud between the Game and Goldberg. We then move into Armageddon in 2003, the Raw exclusive pay-per-view, which was definitely the most influential and important pay-per-view in the history of Evolution as a faction. You had Batista going up against the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels in a match that a lot of fans were highly anticipating, even though Batista wasn't extremely popular at the time, but I feel like fans knew where he was going to be able to go the longer his career carried on. Batista would face off against the Heartbreak Kid and unfortunately come up in a losing effort, but that was not going to be the end of the Animal on this night, because following this match, he would then team up with the Nature Boy Ric Flair and enter a Tag Team Turmoil match for the Raw Tag Team Championships, or the World Tag Team Championships at the time, where they would defeat the Dudley Boys, becoming the new champions. Later on in the night, Rob Van Dam would defend his championship against the future legend killer in Randy Orton, with Mick Foley as the special guest referee. During this match, Orton would hit probably one of his best RKOs to date, but it was more due to the sell that Rob Van Dam would become known for and become the new Intercontinental Champion. This was a huge win in the career of Orton, and it really elevated his rise to the main event, which would really culminate fully in the summer of 2004. So with Flair and Batista holding the World Tag Team Championships and Randy Orton becoming the new Intercontinental Champion after defeating Rob Van Dam, it was up to Triple H to try to capture the World Heavyweight title from Bill Goldberg alongside the Big Red Machine Kane in a triple threat match in the main event for the evening. And Triple H did just that. By hook or crook, Triple H would defeat Bill Goldberg 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. So with a hold on the gold, the prophecy was fulfilled. Every single member of Evolution ended the night at Armageddon 2003 by hoisting the gold above their head. Flair and Batista as the World Tag Team Champions, Orton as the Intercontinental Champion, and Triple H, the Game, would start off his so-called reign of terror as the new World Heavyweight Champion. A night in history, and a night where Evolution was no longer a mystery. Flair and Batista would hold the Raw Tag Team Championships, or the World Tag Team Championships, until February 16th, 2004, where they would lose them to Booker T and Rob Van Dam after Ric Flair had Booker T in the figure 4 leg lock, but just as he was about to tap, RVD hit the 5-star frog splash and Booker T would crawl into the cover for the 1, 2, 3. As we continue on with the career of Dave Batista heading into the tail end of 2004, we're going to transition over to July 2004's Vengeance pay-per-view. Even though this pay-per-view in terms of Batista wasn't the most important, he did end up having a match against Y2J Chris Jericho where he would come out victorious. He would hit a Batista bomb and land the 1-2-3 close to the ropes. Even though Jericho's foot was on the bottom rope, Batista would push it off and still claim the victory, even though it was kind of by dirty means. Then later on in the pay-per-view, we would have Randy Orton defending his Intercontinental Championship against Edge. And this is where the grip on the gold for Evolution started to loosen up a little bit more, as Edge would defeat Randy Orton on this pay-per-view to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Now, Orton would obviously have much bigger plans ahead going into the summer of 2004, but we haven't gotten there just yet. Now, going into August 2004's SummerSlam, I think this was one of the most important pay-per-views in the history of obviously one member's career in terms of Evolution, but it was also the point where Evolution really started to fall apart, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with that, but when you really look at the full story and the storyline in general, I do think that SummerSlam was kind of the first arrow in the heart of Evolution's success as a team. And you look at SummerSlam 04 and you had Edge versus Chris Jericho versus Batista in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. The match would come to an end when Jericho would pull down the top rope as Batista was running at him for a clothesline, and Batista would fly outside of the ring. Batista would then try to get up on the apron and Jericho would hit his signature corner dropkick. However, as Edge was lying prone on the ground and Jericho landed this dropkick, Edge was able to recover, go into the corner, and catch Jericho with a spear, hitting him with the 1-2-3 and retaining his Intercontinental Championship. This would take us into the main event of the evening with the then World Heavyweight Champion, the Rabid Wolverine Chris Benoit, defending against Randy Orton. This is right along the height of his Legend Killer gimmick and really when it started to take off. And during this match, Orton would counter the attempt at a crossface and spin out into an RKO, getting the 1-2-3 on Benoit to become the youngest world champion in WWE history. As we said earlier in this video and explained multiple times, this was one of the biggest moments and the first big moment for a member of Evolution aside from the game, and for the first time that a member of Evolution aside from the game had won the World Heavyweight title or won a major championship. But this would also be the straw that broke the camel's back for Evolution. Following SummerSlam on the August 16th, 2004 episode of Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton would defend his World Heavyweight title for the first time in a rematch against Chris Benoit from SummerSlam. After the interference of all the other members of Evolution, Orton would hit an RKO and retain his World Heavyweight Championship. Following this, a celebration would take place as Batista would hoist Randy Orton over his shoulders with the world title, and Triple H would stand in front of him with the Nature Boy Ric Flair in awe and appreciation of what the youngest world champion did for the group and how much stronger this made the group look. Triple H would give a thumbs up and a smile to Randy Orton before that thumbs up quickly turned to a frown and a thumbs down and a an executioner style electric chair drop from Batista to basically kick Orton out of Evolution. The group would then destroy Randy Orton, beating him all around the ring, and Triple H would hold the World Heavyweight title as Batista would hold Orton in place, basically saying, "I'm coming for the title, which is mine." And nobody is bigger than Evolution. Keep that in mind for later on in this video. We're now going to transition to November in Survivor Series 2004 in the 4-on-4 traditional Survivor Series elimination match between Team Orton, which consisted of Jericho, Benoit, Maven, and Randy Orton, going up against Team Triple H, which consisted of Batista, Triple H, Snitsky, and Edge. Now, during this traditional Survivor Series elimination match, Batista would actually be eliminated very early on after a brief confrontation between himself and Gene Snitsky, while Triple H was held in the walls of Jericho and almost submitted due to the fact that Batista was not there to make the rescue for the game. This would cause more rifts between the Animal and the Game Triple H, but during that time, Randy Orton would actually hit Batista with the World Heavyweight title as he turned around into an enziguri from Chris Jericho, eliminating the Animal very early on in the contest. Triple H's team would actually go on to lose the match as Team Orton would become victorious, and each member of Team Orton would then be allowed to run Raw as a GM in the weeks following Survivor Series. The first member of Team Orton to run Monday Night Raw would do so the night following Survivor Series in the form of Maven, but Maven, however, would go straight for the gold as he would book himself in a World Heavyweight Championship match against the Game for the main event of Monday Night Raw. With the assistance of Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho at ringside, along with them both hitting their finishers on the Game, Maven almost captured the World Heavyweight Championship on multiple occasions. But even though Triple H did not have the assistance of Evolution members Ric Flair and Batista as they were ejected from ringside, he still found a way to retain the World Heavyweight Championship after Gene Snitsky came in and hit a big boot on Maven, and Triple H crawled into the cover to retain the title. On the November 22nd, 2004 episode of Monday Night Raw, everything started to come crashing down for Evolution and really set in motion the feud between Triple H and the Animal Batista. After Batista lost a match to Chris Jericho earlier on in the night, Triple H blamed the Animal for his shortcomings in recent weeks, stating how the Animal almost cost him his World Heavyweight Championship against Maven. Batista would threaten to leave Evolution, and it looked like the group was going to be completely ended by the end of the night. The war of words would continue between the Game and the Animal, with the Game even stating that Batista had $1 billion body but a 10-cent brain. The Game was set to defend the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event that night in a steel cage match against the Rabid Wolverine Chris Benoit. However, prior to the match, you could hear Ric Flair screaming from Triple H's locker room, stating that this had been the work of Batista, with Triple H laid face down on the floor of the locker room, completely unconscious. The doctor would rule out Triple H being able to compete later on, postponing the World Heavyweight title match between Benoit and the Game, and in would step Edge to face Chris Benoit. And even though the match was not for the World Heavyweight Championship, Benoit and Edge would go toe-to-toe in a steel cage match later on that night. After Ric Flair tried throughout the entirety of this episode of Monday Night Raw to convince both men to make an amends and be at ease with each other to continue for the best of Evolution, Triple H would come out to the ring and call out Batista. Batista would come out to the ring and both men would look each other square in the face and look like they were about to come to blows before Triple H would say, "Well done, man, you did great." And we found out that this whole entire thing was just a ruse to kind of put one over and stop Triple H from having to defend his title in that steel cage match against Chris Benoit. But this also was important in terms of Batista because it showed how much of a positive reaction he would get if he were to be a face and go after the heel on his so-called reign of terror in the Game and his leader of the group in Triple H. So even though it was meant to piss off the fans, and it did because it was a game plan from Evolution to stop Triple H from defending the title, it also gave us a glimpse into what it would be like when Batista and Triple H would finally come to blows. The following week on Raw, the active general manager for the night and Randy Orton would announce a battle royal to determine the new World Heavyweight Champion for the main event of Monday Night Raw. However, Vince McMahon would come out and override Orton's decision, saying that it wasn't fair to Triple H if the winner of this match would become the champion. However, whoever would win this battle royal at the end of Monday Night Raw would become the #1 contender to face off against the Game in the main event that night for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this match would come down to Chris Benoit and Edge, and both men would hit their feet on the floor at the exact same time, determining that there was no winner. And following this, it would be a triple threat match to end Monday Night Raw between Chris Benoit, Edge, and the Game Triple H. During this match, everything seemed to be against the Game, and it seemed that it would almost be impossible for him to defend his World Heavyweight Championship. But Randy Orton would come out and attack the Game as the referee was down, hitting him with multiple chair shots and trying to make sure that we got a new World Heavyweight Champion. At the end of the match, however, Chris Benoit would catch Edge in the crippler crossface, but just as Edge was about to tap, he would roll Benoit over to his back and get the 1-2-3, but at the same time would also tap out to Benoit. Due to the fact that nobody could determine who was going to be the World Heavyweight Champion, the belt would be vacated shortly thereafter. Now, going back to how this would affect the rise of Batista, which is what this video is about, during the match, Orton would send Evolution to the locker room, but as Batista was walking back to the locker room himself, you could see a smile and a little devilish smirk on the face of Batista, saying that he knew what was coming. Eric Bischoff would return on the December 13th, 2004 episode of Monday Night Raw and declare that the World Heavyweight Championship would be defended at New Year's Revolution 2005 in an Elimination Chamber match with a special guest referee, former rival and longtime rival and ally of Triple H in the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And then the competitors in the Elimination Chamber match would be Triple H, Chris Benoit, the Animal Batista, Chris Jericho, Edge, and the Legend Killer, Randy Orton. A few weeks later, on the December 27th, 2004 episode of Monday Night Raw, a Beat the Clock challenge would run to determine who would be the last entrant in the Elimination Chamber match at New Year's Revolution. Batista would set an unbelievable time in defeating Rhino in the tournament, and then Triple H would try to defeat Shelton Benjamin and pass the time to become the final entrant. However, no matter how hard he tried, he was a few seconds off and could not beat Batista's time. He would also make a bet with Batista a week or two prior to this tournament taking place, or challenge if you want to call it that, saying that he bet Batista $100 that he would beat his time, but the Animal would reign supreme. We now move to January 9th, 2005 and the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. And during this Elimination Chamber match, obviously we already know that Batista would enter last, but the final three competitors in the chamber would be Evolution members: The Game, Triple H, the Legend Killer Randy Orton, and the Animal Batista. During the match, Randy Orton would hit an RKO on Batista as Triple H was laying in the corner prone. But as it looked like Triple H was stood up to go help Batista and save him from being eliminated from the chamber, he would sit back down in the corner and allow Randy Orton to eliminate the Animal Batista. The final two competitors in the chamber would be Randy Orton and Triple H, and the Game would again reign supreme, pinning Randy Orton and becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion, celebrating alongside Evolution member Batista and the Nature Boy Ric Flair. However, the following night on Raw, things would change very quickly on the road to WrestleMania. The following night on the January 10th, 2005 episode of Monday Night Raw, during the celebration of Triple H's world title win alongside Batista and Ric Flair, Randy Orton would come out and say that he had something to show Batista. He would then roll footage of Triple H getting up from the corner to save Batista after he had gotten RKO'd by Orton, but during the 1-2-3 count, Triple H decided to sit back down and not help the Animal and not save him for them to be the final two. Batista would look on at Triple H in anger and disgust, but Triple H would come up with some BS excuse saying that he had been in the chamber match for so long and fought so long and so hard to win this championship that his legs were just not working right, and even though he tried to stand up, he just fell back down due to exhaustion. Later on in the night, Randy Orton would take on the Animal Batista in the main event of Monday Night Raw. And although Triple H and Ric Flair would come out to try to assist the Animal in his victory, Triple H would actually end up costing Batista the match. As he tried to plead with Batista to throw Randy Orton into a steel chair, the Animal said he didn't need the chair. Randy Orton would then push Batista into the chair, allowing him to ricochet off, roll him up, and get the 1-2-3. This would again cause more rips and tears in the relationship between Triple H and Batista and allow us to get one step closer to that match that every fan had been waiting for at the time. Leading up to the Royal Rumble 2005, and Triple H had pleaded with Batista saying that he didn't need to be in the Royal Rumble, and even if he was going to be in the Royal Rumble, he should go after JBL or John Cena on the SmackDown side of things so that Evolution could run both shows, and Evolution could be at the top of the WWE no matter what brand they're on. even though all fans knew that the only reason that Triple H was doing this was because he was afraid that Batista would go on to win the Royal Rumble and then challenge the Game for the World Heavyweight Championship on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania. Batista would then go on to defeat La Resistance in a qualifying match to earn his spot in the Royal Rumble. With Batista qualified for the Royal Rumble, we're now going to talk about the 2005 Royal Rumble match. Now, I already talked about it a bit on the John Cena video that I made a few months back, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time. But basically, it came down to John Cena from SmackDown and Batista from Monday Night Raw. There was a botch in the finish where both men would go over the top rope after Cena tried to counter a Batista bomb with both men's feet touching the floor at the same exact time. Vince McMahon would come out in a fit of rage and run into the ring and actually tear both of his quads in the process and have to sit on the mat as they tried to determine what to do during all of this chaos and this unplanned finish to what made the Royal Rumble 2005 such a magic moment. The match would be restarted, Cena would go for the FU, Batista would counter into a spinebuster and toss John Cena over the top rope with both feet touching the floor to become the winner of the 2005 Royal Rumble and punch his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania 21. Following the Animals Royal Rumble win, and Ric Flair and Triple H had been pleading and almost begging Batista without making it seem like they were begging for him to go after JBL or John Cena or the Big Show for the WWE Championship over on SmackDown at WrestleMania. I already mentioned it earlier, but Triple H basically said that they wanted to run the wrestling business, and with Triple H as the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw and Batista as the WWE Champion on SmackDown, they could basically do exactly that. But Batista kept implying and, reiterating that he hadn't made up his mind yet, but I think in the mind of all the fans, they knew exactly where his plans were going to be taken at WrestleMania. Batista would even briefly get involved in the main event steel cage match at No Way Out 2005 between JBL and the Big Show for the WWE Championship, but at that time I think that everybody knew that John Cena was going to be the one who would be challenging JBL at WrestleMania for the WWE title. But this would lead us into a contract signing for WrestleMania 21 with Batista, with Eric Bischoff for Raw and Teddy Long for SmackDown. Leading into the contract signing for Batista and picking who he would face in the main event of WrestleMania 21, there was a brief segment backstage between the Nature Boy Ric Flair and the Game Triple H, where they said that the best thing for Evolution would be for the quote-unquote big idiot to go to SmackDown and try to face JBL for the WWE Championship, and that's what's best for Batista and what's best for Evolution. The only problem was that Batista heard the entire thing, even though Ric Flair and Triple H thought that Batista had not shown up to the arena yet. Heading into the contract signing to close out Monday Night Raw, and again Triple H and Ric Flair were trying to plead with Batista how much better it would be if he went to SmackDown and how Evolution could run the wrestling business and how much power the group could hold by holding the two biggest prizes in the WWE and in professional wrestling at the same time on different shows. But I think we all knew that Batista had already made up his mind. It was just a matter of time before everything was figured out. And Batista picked up the SmackDown contract, and Triple H and Ric Flair were all excited, saying like, yeah, he's going to go to SmackDown. Batista gave the thumbs up and then turned it to the thumbs down. And then Triple H looked up in terror. Batista grabbed Triple H. Batista bombed him through the table that was holding the contracts for Batista to sign and signed the Raw contract, throwing it on Triple H's body, saying that he would see the Game at WrestleMania 21 for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, before we move into the WrestleMania 21 match, one thing I'd like to cover is Batista signaling the thumbs down to Triple H is just a nod to when Triple H gave the thumbs down to Randy Orton the night after SummerSlam 2004 when he won the World Heavyweight title, but then the group would turn on him. Randy Orton warned Batista about this going into New Year's Revolution, saying that it would only be a matter of time before he gave Batista, the Animal, the thumbs down as well. But this was just a symbolization that Batista was not a billion-dollar $1 body with a 10-cent brain, but he had figured out a way over time to outsmart and outpower the game Triple H by winning the Royal Rumble, going to WrestleMania, making them think that he was going to go all the way to SmackDown, and then coming back to just meet his maker and defeat the man who started the group with him and become the breakout star from Evolution. I know a lot of people wanted Orton to be the breakout star, but I think in total, Batista's world title win, which we're going to get to soon, was executed that much better. Now, going into WrestleMania 21, we've gotten to the end of the road to WrestleMania. Batista versus the game Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship on the grandest stage of them all. Now, I'm not going to go in depth into the match and how good the match was and everything, because this moment is not about the match. It's about the coronation of the animal. It's about the biggest breakout star at the time from the group known as Evolution. Like I said, I know a lot of people believe that Randy Orton was the breakout star from Evolution, but in my opinion, I don't think you could say anything different from the fact that Batista, his world title win, the storyline and everything was executed with a lot more care. It was executed a lot better than the title win of Randy Orton, and they couldn't really achieve that face character with Orton because at the time he was still just kind of that piece of shit heel that even though he was a face, the fans just didn't like him, so he was a natural heel. But Batista transformed from the original heel of the group into one of the biggest faces in the company, who would eventually make the transition over to Friday Night SmackDown. But he did end up defeating the game Triple H, beating his maker, beating his leader, and becoming his own star and getting out of the shadow of the game Triple H by becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. Now, following WrestleMania 21, Batista would rematch the game Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash 2005. This is where Batista would again defeat the game by pinfall in a clean as a whistle finish. This was now 2 back-to-back pay-per-views, 2 back-to-back pinfall victories, clean, albeit that, over the game Triple H. But this wasn't the end, because this would lead us into Vengeance 2005. Now we've made it to the final and coincidentally the best match of the rivalry between Batista and Triple H. The Hell in a Cell match at Vengeance 2005. Batista defending the title against Triple H again for the second time, because the first time he was obviously trying to win the title and was the challenger. And this was the most brutal match of the feud by far. There's really nothing much to say that hasn't been said already. This was highly regarded, like I said, by a lot of fans as the best match of the rivalry. It was brutal. It was a quote-unquote fist fight inside of a Hell in a Cell. And when you look at the Hell in a Cell, I think that was the perfect way to cap off the end to this rivalry because of all the betrayal, because of the former friendship, the former bond now broken, and best friends becoming bitter enemies. I just think that the Hell in a Cell was perfect to again give Batista a clean victory over Triple H, even though I wouldn't consider it clean, but a clean pinfall victory with no shenanigans in a horrifyingly brutal match. Batista being busted open, Triple H being busted open, spine busters on the steel steps, a Batista bomb on the steel steps as Triple H was about to hit Batista in the head with the sledgehammer, but he couldn't get it there in time, and Batista would get the 1, 2, 3. Aside from that, Batista would hit Triple H in the head with a steel chair wrapped in barbed wire. Triple H would choke Batista with a chain over the top rope. They just went back and forth with each other, and this was a quote-unquote fight to end the rivalry. But it was an amazing match and the best match of the rivalry and a perfect way to end it. And I guess that brings us to the end of our journey discussing the Animal Batista's rise from 2003 through 2005. After this, he would eventually go into a feud with the man that Triple H wanted him to face at WrestleMania 21 in JBL after being drafted over to Friday Night SmackDown as the World Heavyweight Champion. John Cena would then go over to Monday Night Raw as the WWE Champion. Cena would actually be the first pick of the 2005 WWE Draft, going over to Monday Night Raw, followed by the counter pick where the World Champion would obviously have to go to the other show. But we're not going to talk about Batista's SmackDown run. If you want that, I can definitely do that in another video. But yeah, I had a lot of fun covering Batista, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.